Hello and welcome. Now we're going to get a token, and with this token we can actually make a payment. So let's get working on that token. Here we are in Stripe Pay. Remember, that is in the front end, in SRC, in components, in checkout, and there we are in Stripe Pay. Now inside of Stripe Pay, we're going to make a function. Actually, I noticed something. I don't know if I told you guys to do this. I wrote card element twice, two different ways. That was unnecessary. I'm just going to get rid of this one. Cool, that's done. Now I'm going to make a function. I'll do it right above the return. This will be a const called handle submit. And that will be an async. We'll give it E, the event. And inside of there, we will e.prevent default. And here's where we're going to get the token. We're going to let token equal await. And we need to await inside of here because this does take a moment. Submit token. And that's going to be another function that we write. So if you don't know where that's going, that's just fine. And after that, we're going to console.log that token so we can see it and be proud of ourselves. Now let's make the function for the submit token. So const submit token, I'm going to do it above, const submit token. That is going to be an async as well. Inside of there is going to be a pretty simple function, but I want to do a couple if statements. If there's no Stripe, so if Stripe didn't load, or the elements didn't load, that's the other one, or no elements, and then what we'll do is return. And we could do that in line too. Let me just do that in line. We'll just return right here. Now we'll make a const called card element, and do it don't make it capitalized because we do have a capitalized card element. So this is going to be card element lowercase. So card element is going to equal elements dot get element. And the name of it is card element. And that's what we imported right up here, the card element. And we're just calling it card element undercase after we get it. Now comes our try catch. So we'll do a try catch here. And in the try block, we'll do a const. And we're going to pull out the token from await Stripe. And we brought Stripe in on the top as well. Dot create token. And then the card element that we got and stored right here, we're going to pull the token out of that. We're awaiting it. It's going to take a moment, and we'll pull the token out. Then we'll just return the token. We can catch the error, and if we get an error, let's just console.log that error, ERR, and we are set. Now let's add it to our form. We want to handle the submit here, so we'll write on submit. That will equal our handle submit, just like that. So now we have our form, and we can handle our submit with our form. We're going to give it a shot and see if we are working. Back into our app here, I'm going to bring up the console right over there. Now with the console, I will go ahead and write this all in. We'll do the name user, that's fine. Now there are different cards on their website, but if you just type 42 over and over again, any date in the future, and any CVC and zip, you're good to go. Now we're going to hit pay, and when we hit pay, we should get back our token, and we did get it back. Fantastic, this looks really good. We have to fix some of these errors here. Your Stripe integration. Oh, okay. That's just fine. Let's just quickly look at this token because we're only going to need one little piece of it. Look how much information is in this token. The card, the CVC check is unchecked, and so on. And if we go down, we're actually going to see the ID. This is what we need, the ID. It's the actual token. So that's what we're going to be working with and sending to our back end. Let's start working on that. Now we've done this from the back end and then made our request from the front quite a few times. I'm going to do it the opposite way. Now we're going to do it from the front end first. So we'll say if no token, and that's if a token doesn't exist here, which would be a big issue. We wouldn't want to try to make the payment if we don't have the token, because we couldn't possibly make the payment. So if there's no token, what we'll do is a dispatch, and we're going to dispatch our set alert, and inside of our set alert, we'll just say payment, let me make that capital, payment cannot be submitted. Okay, so we have that handled. If the token fails for some reason, we can go ahead and dispatch that. And inside of that if, what we should do is return after it. And that'll stop our function. Now, if we pass that check, what do we do next? The next thing we'll do is a try catch. So try catch. I like to make all the errors ERR, and in the try, we'll have a const options. That will equal headers. We haven't done this for a while because we set this up once and it was just working from there. So headers is going to be content dash type, and that will be application slash JSON. That's what we'll be sending to the server. We'll have our body, so const body, that will equal the token, which we are getting within this function. It will equal the total, the name on card, we'll need that as well, and a description. I'm just going to, I think we did that already. Just wanted to show you that a description would work. Okay, so this will be the description, purchase from blank store. That works just fine for me. Okay, so we have our body with our token, total, name on card, and description all being sent to the back end. So let's make a const called URL, and the URL is going to be /stripe/single charge. So this is going to be a one-time charge. We won't save the card. That'll all be stuff we do in future lessons, but this will just be a one-time charge, and that's the route that will hit with it. So we'll let res, the result, equal await API.post, and we will post the URL, the body, and the options. So we're all set to make that post, and then after that we will console.log the res. Let's see what comes back. And inside of the catch. So what are we going to do with an error? We're going to dispatch the set alert, and inside of there we'll do the err.response.data.message. Okay, so we'll dispatch an alert with the error response data message. And we can console.log the err.response in case we want to see anything else there. But we're all set up on the front end to make this call to our back end. So let's head into our back end. We'll go to the, let's actually set up the root first. So we'll go to routes. We'll make a new route. Route or root, you could really say it either way, but let's call it route now so I don't lose anyone. So we're going to make a new route here. It's going to be called, a new file, stripe routes.js. And inside of here, we'll get started on it. We're going to const express equals require express. Then the const router will equal express dot router, capital on that router. Now we'll do the router dot route and give that route that we had on the front end. So /to single charge. I remember we'll handle the stripe part of it. What we're doing here, what do we call it? Stripe. Yeah, we'll handle this stripe part within the app itself or the server file itself. We'll do that just next so we don't get too confusing here. So dot post, and we'll do stripe controller dot single charge. And of course, we haven't made this yet either, but we're going to go ahead and put it in there. So stripe controller dot single charge. Let's bring that in up here. Const stripe controller is going to equal require. And inside of require, we're just going to find it. Where it's going to be is up one inside of controllers, and it'll be called stripe controller. Perfect. So that's where we'll get that from, and we will module dot exports equals router. So we're exporting that router from our stripe routes now. And we're going to put this into our app, and it's going to break our app because it doesn't know where to get the stripe controller from. So if it does break your app, that's just fine. Head into server, head down to where your routes are. Right here, you have your auth routes. Here we're going to do app.use, and we have another route coming in. So API, do my slash first, API /v1/stripe. So that's where it's going to hit, and let's pass it a callback to our stripe routes. Okay, now we're going to bring in stripe routes up top. Const stripe routes will equal require, and we'll find it. // and then we go to routes and stripe routes. This should break everything, and it does. Okay, let's fix that by just finishing this up here. We're going to make a controller for this. So into controllers, all the way at the top for me, and probably you as well, we'll make a new file. The file will be called stripe controller.js. We're going to bring in stripe and pass it our secret key on the back end. We pass the public key on the front end, secret key on the back end here. So const stripe, that's going to equal require. And all we have to do is type stripe here. And then after that, just open up another one and process.env.stripe_secret _key. And you should have this. You should have your Stripe secret key by now. If you don't, please go to your Stripe account, get your secret key, put it in your .env file so this works for you. And now the function exports with an S, please. Export single charge. So the single charge will be an async. I'll take request/res, and inside of there, we're going to console.log the body in case we have any problems there. I want to see that. Oh, we actually have to console.log request.body. And then I'm going to deconstruct things off the body. So const, let's do token total. It was description and name. And set that equal to request.body. Now const amount. That will equal math.round. So we'll use the math library to round this. The total is going to come in dollars and cents, but when we send it over to Stripe, they want it in pennies. And you could kind of do that same math in your head if you're in a different country. They don't want it in dollar form. They want it in basically change form. So the smallest denominator in your currency is what they're usually looking for, and you should check the documentation just in case it's different where you are. But the total times 100 would take it from being a decimal with 2 places to just being a whole number, meaning this many pennies in my case here. Okay, so after this, we'll do a try catch. And in the try, we'll have a const status. That equals await stripe dot charges. And I know we usually use res. They use status on their docs, so we're just going to use status here. Stripe dot charges dot and then create. And inside of here, we're going to make an object because we have some work to do in here. We're going to pass in the name as the name. We'll do this all kind of the long way. Of course, you don't have to. We'll do the amount as the amount. We'll do the currency as USD. We'll do the description, which is just the description that's passed in. And the source, that's the most important part. This is what's going to be able to make our payment. Token.id, not the full token, just the ID like I showed you before. Now after this, if we don't get an error here, we'll have res.json, so we're sending back our response, and we're just going to send back the status for now. We'll get that back, see what it looks like, and see if we're happy with it. In the catch, we're just going to console.log the ERR for the error. Of course, we can do some error handling with this, and if you guys would like to do that, I'll make a small error handler for Stripe, but I think you kind of get the point on how error handlers work. All right, so from here, well, actually, let's send this to the front end too if we get an error. So res.status will be the err.status code, and then .json, that can be the err.message. Okay, you know, let's put a status in here. Res.status, status. We'll give that about 200, and then we'll have our JSON with the status. So we send back a status code either way. We'll save that up now, and we're going to need to export it. And when we saved, there's an issue here. Okay, there's a module not found. Maybe we didn't install Stripe. No, we did not. Okay, let's install Stripe here. So just simply head into here, Control C to get yourself out, yarn add Stripe, and we're good. So yarn run dev to get it back on. We are back on, and it doesn't look like we crashed, so I think we're good. Okay, so we just put Stripe into our project there. Now, it looks like we have just about everything we need in order to make a payment. So let's give it a shot and see what happens. That was a lot of coding, a lot of different moving pieces. So hopefully it works on the first time, but let's give it a go. We'll go over to the cart. Actually, not to the cart yet. Let's add something to the cart. How about this class right here? And we'll go over to the cart and has something in it there. The name can just be user. The card number will be the 421 that I mentioned before. And any zip, any CC, any CVC. We will bring up the, okay, we'll bring up this console and press pay. It looks like everything worked. You see we got our token right here, and then we got a response with the status text okay, 200, and it looks like everything worked. Let's take a look in my Stripe account and make sure we have a payment of $390 in there. As you can see, I'm inside of my Stripe right now, my dashboard, and I have a $390 payment made just right now. That's fantastic. It worked perfectly. Now, you might not see this. It might have went through perfectly for you. You might not see this. What happens is sometimes you start on a different project. Go over to the top left, make sure you're on the project that you made in order to do this. Maybe you're on the starter account or something like that. You made a new name. Just make sure you're on the correct project. Top left will be your menu of projects. But that worked perfectly. Really, really great. All right, I'm very, very happy. If you don't mind, I didn't finish one thing on the last lesson when we were doing some of the styling. I wanted to do a little bit more. Just head to the front end, head into SCSS. I promise this won't take long. It's just something I missed. I want to do my transitions. See this transition here? I wanted to do that in several places. So let's get started on that. We'll start from the bottom, make our way up. The next thing I want to transition is the radio after right here. Same thing. I'll just paste that in there. Next thing I want to transition is the stripe element right here. Perfect. Paste that in. I'd like to also transition the row input right here. Okay, paste it in. And these are all just going to be all for 0.3 seconds, just so it's a little smoother. The next thing we want to transition is the button. And I think that does it for me. Thanks so much for sticking with that. I'm just going to just yarn run scss and just save this so it prints out to the file. Great job on this one. Everything is looking really good. Wow, we actually have it in Stripe here, and that all worked perfectly. We're going to do a lot more. We want to be able to save cards, bring up cards in a menu so they could choose the saved card. We want to be able to do quite a bit with Stripe. We want to be able to give refunds, all sorts of things. We're going to go through the Stripe API pretty intensively to get you used to it, and then you can take it from there. Great job today, and keep coding.